If a person is in an upset state, person is fear, what you don't do is assume you know what's happening in them. Now, if you've ever suffered, ever been in a tough spot, and other people tell you who you are, what you're suffering, and what to do, it is one of the most annoying, irritating things you can ever experience, is another person trying to solve you. I don't like to be solved. Other people don't like to be solved. People like to be heard. They like to be witnessed. People want to be understood as a subject to interface with, to engage, and not an object to be controlled and told what to do. A wise person understands the mystery of another person's soul, the mystery of their own soul. So if a person comes to me suffering, the first thing I need to do is hear everything that they're saying. I need to try to really understand what's happening inside of there before I make a judgment. In fact, I think I've shared sometimes why when people say to me, the special ways that you counsel this group or that group, I think to myself, somebody's interviewed all of them and come up with a typology, and they all fit into this typology? I don't know what I have until I get there. So that's why whenever I try to counsel or lead some kind of a session, the first thing I need to know is what's happening in these people. What are they going through? So a wise person is patient with this. A wise person wants to be patient with yourself and patient with others and really try to understand what their inner world is like. A wise person also understands the processes of life. They understand the process of the human life, the processes of relationships, of couples, of families, of organizations, institutions, and communities, that things actually move through time and go through different stages, and there are different kinds of wisdom that apply to different stages. So therefore, when people talk about child-rearing books, okay, first of all, who are you raising this child? A lot of parents don't even know who they are and what they're bringing to it. Who's this child? There is no archetypal child. Their souls are all so different. What's your child going through? What's our family going through? So there's so much wisdom to be gained, as opposed to a person assuming, well, I know myself, which you probably don't as well as you think you do. I know this child, you probably don't know the child as well as you think you do. And I know what's happening, which you probably don't as much as you think you think you do. That's where I start, at least. I try to say to myself, I better check in deeply what's happening within me, what's happening with this other person, and the process that we're in, before I say or do anything. Now, on a good day, I do that. On bad days, I make all the wrong assumptions, and typically you find out pretty soon when you've been assuming wrong things about yourself, other people, and the state of things. So that's my beginning part of wisdom. Now, there are many other kinds of wisdom. Okay, let me just outline. There's the wisdom to go into the depths of the soul. There's wisdom into the mind of God. There's wisdoms of deep and profound truths by which humanity runs. So I'm not talking about the further reaches of wisdom. I'm talking about the practical wisdom that we all need just to make our lives better and make the lives of other people better. This is achievable wisdom for every person in this room. Now, why don't people do it? Because it's difficult. It's not that complex, actually. I mean, the rules of gaining wisdom are not complex. They're difficult. It's very different. People say to me, how do you lose weight? I say, well, eat less, exercise more, okay? There's more to it than that. But at some degree, if you're not eating less and exercising more, it's going to be hard. Okay? People look for all kinds of magic potions and magic pills and healing doctors and my blood type and my body type. I said, well, it's going to probably have to do with a couple of simple things before you get to the complex things. Okay, so achieving the basics of wisdom is not complex. It's just difficult. So realize what you're dealing with is not complexity. You're dealing with resistance. You're dealing with resistance, not complexity. So when people say, I don't understand why I do something, or I don't understand why my husband does this, I'll say, would you like me to explain? Because most of what we do is easily explainable. I don't mean finding the mysterious source in early childhood. And again, I'm not saying it's not important. It's just saying at the basic level, it's not essential. Okay? So when you look at yourself, why do I do these things? Why do others do those things? The basic answers are not complex, right? They're actually quite simple. And we have to accept that things are simple but difficult. And therefore, the problem is not complexity. The problem is resistance.
Sing, shalom, sing, shalom, sing, shalom, tova.